Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Fresh, which was another request by Melissa and Charlie. Thank you again. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So,
I'm getting it pulled up.
Today we are both drinking the same tea. It's our
current favorite.
Yes.
From Plum Deluxe, our affiliate.
Yes, it is the Reading Nook blend.
Yes.
Oh, comfort in a cup.
It really is. It's so freaking good. This one has black tea, rose petals, lavender, chamomile, vanilla essence, love and gratitude.
And we learned, while we were looking up the ingredients, because I already drank all of mine. And so we no longer, yes, we did not have the package. So we had to look up the ingredients and we learned that not only can you pick the number of ounces, so I don't know if that means that you get the same bag size or if they up the bag.
On that. We haven't
experimented yet
of it, and oh my gosh, guys, we'll definitely be getting more of this one for sure.
Yeah, if they have bulk sizes of this tea, I will purchase. But we found out that this tea, we don't know if it covers all of their tea, but we know this particular tea actually has a decaf version, since this is black tea.
On their website, they have a drop down for the caffeine level, and it's either the regular caffeine amount for regular black tea, or they have a decaf option available where it's decaffeinated black tea. So it's really nice that they have that option available. We haven't really seen any other company so far that's
not that
had
I can think of.
So it's nice to have that option available.
Yeah, because there's so many people that are trying to avoid caffeine. Yes. But honestly, if you don't try any tea from Plum Deluxe except one, this is their shining star
for sure. Of the ones that we have tried, yes, this one has been both of our favorites for sure.
Yeah, you don't smell any of the black tea bitterness. It's just vanilla, and then the other. And
they're all loose leaf teas too, so you can make it as strong as you want or as weak as you want. Some people like it weaker flavor, others like us want it to punch you in the face. So, but it's got the lavender, chamomile, you really smell the vanilla. Yeah. And it's basically just like a hug in a cup.
Oh, it is so lovely.
I'm waiting for it to cool off enough to not burn me, because I want to actually taste it.
I know. Yeah, since I've already used up my stash. It's been a while since I've
dipped into what's left of my stash,
and it's there's not much left.
There's really not.
We're gonna have to buy more, but it is an affiliate link,
yes.
So it's down below. Mm-hmm. Just keep in mind, you clicking on that link is not going to impact the price you pay at all. It's just if you're interested in the tea. Just know that it will also, we will get a small part of the sale to support the podcast. So It's kind of a twofer. If the tea sounds good to you and you want to try it, you can also support the podcast at the same time.
And we appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we would love to hear how you like the tea too.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's we both are obsessed with this tea. I don't know if it's just us, but it's amazing. I don't understand.
If you've tried some other teas from Plum Deluxe and you have a recommendation for us to try, definitely let us know about those as well.
Yes, because we've only tried 4 flavors.
I believe
total.
It was 4, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. But anyways,
let's go ahead and get into
the
review.
Yes. For our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review.
Yes.
So, Fresh. It's funny because
God, don't spill it. How dare you?
I'm not spilling it.
Don't you dare waste it.
I'm not. I will savor it.
Don't you dare. I'll never forgive you.
You're like, I gave you my stash.
I did.
But so Fresh is, it starts off with the main character kind of like in the current dating scene of like meeting guys online.
Awkwardness.
And then awkwardly meeting them in person and going through that whole spiel. And well, she ends up just happening upon this guy in the grocery store, and they really hit it off, and they end up going on a few dates. And by the third date, I'm pretty sure it's the third date, he offers on the second. The third is them going. Yes, he offers for them to go on a little vacation, and she says yes. And he takes her out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and he drugs her, and she wakes up to find herself chained up in a room. And you find out that he is a cannibal. And not only is he a cannibal, but he is in a network of cannibals where he will take pieces of his victims while they're still alive. Because he's also a doctor. But the main character, even though she's now in one of the rooms, apparently he really likes her. And so he's like giving her dinner, letting her try other victims and stuff like that, and she uses that to her advantage so that way she can escape, and she ends up escaping with 2 other girls, one of which is her best friend, and they run off into the sunset and have a happy ending with revenge involved.
I don't know about fully happy ending, but...
Well, not fully happy, but mostly happy.
I suppose as happy as you can be missing pieces of yourself.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. So for entertainment, I would give this a 7.5. Like, this movie, I'm really not into cannibal movies. Like, I watched The Extent.
Okay, I did warn her about this one. I would like to state that for the record. I did warn her about this one.
Yes. But this one, it really gave me, like, Hannibal vibes, but with, like, comedic elements to it. There's, like, a lot of comedy and jokes in this movie. Like, this movie made me laugh a lot.
Bad jokes. A lot of them were bad puns and things.
Yeah.
Like dad jokes almost.
Yeah. But, so it's like, if you like the Hannibal movies or even like the Hannibal series, you would probably have the same itch scratched with this movie. Like, I thought it was really enjoyable. It's gory like Hannibal. I wouldn't call it a comedy, but it does have comedic elements, and with like what she's dealing with the dating scene and all of that. It's just, this movie, it's weird to say, is charming. Like, I would watch this again and enjoy it despite the elements of it that, you know, aren't my favorite thing. Like, this is actually a really good, like, if you're trying to introduce someone to a cannibal movie,
this is a good way to go.
I think this is a good one, because it's pretty, even though it does have those elements and it does have the gore, it's not traumatizing.
Yeah. They're actually rather clinical about most of the gore.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, a hack and slash type cannibal movie like, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or, you know, Wrong Turn or something like that. Hills Have Eyes, but it's very clean and sterile for the most part.
Yeah.
Which makes sense considering what he's doing. And all of the gore makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's not as messy or bloody as most of the other movies, which I know you appreciate.
Yeah.
But there's also a psychological aspect to it. It's a nice combination of the two.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that really makes this movie stand out is the fact that they allow you to get to know the main character enough where it's like you're watching her dating, you know that she's frustrated and the situations that she's been through. And so you become very, like, sympathetic with her. And so then she's in this terrible situation. So you automatically, of course, want her to get out of that situation. But it's like she chained to the room. So you're like, how the heck is this going to happen? And so whenever you're, like, watching her journey, and then at the very end, she gets to be the one to kill her kidnapper. It's just, this movie has the most satisfying ending. It's like, I don't think that all horror movies should have a satisfying ending, because it doesn't always make sense.
Yeah.
But I love the movies that do. And this one is just like super satisfying, because you know the crap that he put her through. And of course the terror and the fact that he kidnapped her friend as well. Just all of that stuff. And she gets to have her revenge.
It's one that makes you want to cheer when it happens.
Yes. Yes. It's a, yeah, like this is a very satisfying movie. It's a great, it's a fun journey to be on. And yeah, it's definitely a film that, I mean, not everyone will enjoy it, because not everybody likes gore. It's like, I don't like gore, but this movie wasn't too bad for me. Yeah. But I don't find myself as sensitive as other people.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I've watched enough.
Some movies might find it uncomfortable, because I know there are some people that have issues with dismemberment and things like that make them super uncomfortable, or it's just one of those things that they hate, can't stand, can't watch it, whatever. I get that. This one, I feel like, is a bit more mild for the most part.
Yeah.
They're a little more sensitive about it. They don't shy away from necessarily showing it, but again, they're a lot cleaner about showing it.
Yeah. I will say the oogiest part is the fact that he was adding, like, pictures of the victims in the box, and then you saw the wall
of trophies.
Yeah, with all of the pictures. It's like, that definitely makes you uncomfortable, but...
And I say trophies because, technically speaking, he is a serial killer.
Yeah.
Those are trophies of his victims. He just has a very unique method of killing and disposal.
Yeah, it's a very unique situation. It's not the typical serial killer
Definitely
situation.
Not. He definitely has a unique signature, for sure.
Yeah. But overall, like, if gore doesn't bother you, or you don't think that that type of material will bother you, I think it's a really fun movie. I wasn't bored during any of it.
Definitely not. It's hard to be bored with this one.
Yeah, it's like, you get a mixture of, like, gore, but, like, funny scenes, and it's just, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I ended up really enjoying it. So I appreciate this request, because I could actually see myself watching this movie again.
I think because it actually, despite the material, it was still presented almost in a lighthearted manner.
Oh yeah, like, it didn't, like, even though you're like, holy crap, like, that's dark. Like, they're talking about the black market and just, like, really dark crap. I don't know how they did it, but they did make it seem a lot more lighthearted, despite the material.
I think a lot of that is the atmosphere in the movie. They didn't have, dark, dingy places or anything.
That's true.
It's all done
light.
in a very light,
it's cold,
mostly open kind of house or building. It's not as clinical or abandoned or gross or anything. Like, it's well kept and nice looking and updated and everything. Yeah. So that, plus the humor that's sprinkled in throughout, makes it a little bit easier to swallow than, pun intended,
why?
than other movies from, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where everything is in, like, the Dust Bowl type areas, middle of nowhere, like, cabin in the woods type hack and slash movies with horribly suited tools and no cleanliness. Like, everything is really nice and clean and sterile in the movie. So, and clinical. So it makes it a lot easier to get into and enjoy.
Yeah. Agreed.
For now, on the first watch, I give it a 7 with the potential of growing. There are some things, especially in the realism, of course, that prevent me from giving it a higher score. just because some things, again, don't add up, as usual for me. This is nothing new. But overall, again, it's a very enjoyable movie, and I was surprised at how many times I laughed when we were watching.
Yeah, we were like, why are we watching?
Why are we laughing
about
at this?
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. I like that they add in some psychological elements to it, and there are some mind games that go into this movie.
It's a clever movie.
Yes, we appreciate, because usually with this type of movie, it's one thing. Like, it's all a slasher type movie, and there's usually not really a psychological element involved apart from the horror of the victim seeing their missing limb.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that mix of the two in there. That being said, even with it being cleaned, like, clearly the limbs are drained of the excess blood and everything, and they're stored in a very specific way, so it all looks very sterile. Everything looks very realistic.
Yeah.
Like, all of it was pretty realistic. I actually had kind of a difficult time with the realism scale on this movie, which doesn't happen often. So bravo. Thank you again for this recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah. More movies like this. Less movies like Green Inferno. Please.
We really did enjoy this one for sure. But again, most of the issues that I have are on the realism. So we'll go ahead and get to that.
Did we want to attempt a tea break?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm scared. It's like, I don't know if it's still too hot, but it seems like it's cooling off.
It feels like it's the right temperature.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been so long. The comfort in the cup. I feel the warmth surrounding my body. Like, this would be a great tea to drink while you're meditating.
Let me drink.
Oh. Sorry, guys. Tea break. You can drink with us. Responsibly. Drink your tea responsibly.
This is one that, like, it is called Reading Nook Blend. And I legit, when I'm drinking this tea, just want quiet.
As you hit the mic?
I know. I realized it as soon as I touched it.
Oopsie poop.
Like, I just, it makes you want just a quiet, calm area to relax.
Yeah, this really makes me want to, like, have one of those reading corners and curl up with a blanket and sit down with a good book. Like, it really...
Like, this is the best tea, in my opinion, when there's, like, a light rain going.
Yes,
and I'm hearing my fish tanks in the background, on the couch with a nice cozy blanket and a book.
Yes. Oh,
perfect.
And it's like, and it's always kind of a mind-boggling, the teas that obviously have, like, a decent amount of caffeine, like black tea, but then are so relaxing, kind of like that, the mint Bigelow thingamaboober.
Yeah. The spearmint and the black tea and spearmint one from Bigelow. So this one, I think it's so relaxing because of the other ingredients in it. Not just the tea, it's the chamomile, lavender, and vanilla. Those three on their own are usually a very calming and relaxing thing to have. And there are teas with just those specific things in them, or separate or together. You'll find them anywhere. But in this combination, it's more potent.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like you're relaxed, but you're not going to fall asleep reading.
Yeah.
Like, it will help you stay awake so you can finish your book. It's
a relaxing caffeine, if that makes sense.
And I'm always impressed by the companies. I feel like there's... I know Brutalities has done this. I haven't found too many other teas that do this, where it's like, black tea is the most bitter tea, or one of the most bitter at least. And it's so impressive when we've made it this strong, and I don't really taste the bitterness.
And we do put it on a very strong setting.
Yeah. We did like an extra teaspoon for good luck.
We did, and we also set it to brew strong, so it sat in there longer.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, when I make it on my own and just do the hot water in there, I leave it in there the entire time I'm drinking it.
Yeah, it's like you do the thing with like brewing tea. Yeah, I guess it's probably similar to coffee. Is like the longer you leave it in there, you do get different notes. Like whenever I do my tea bags, I'll leave it in there, and as I'm drinking it, I get different notes. So us brewing it the way that you're supposed to, like traditionally, the flavor is going to be a little bit different than just like leaving in there. But like brewing it how it's meant to be brewed, I really like it. Like
It's very well balanced like this.
Like, not to harp on this, it's like we're just geeking over the tea itself.
So good. It's hard not to geek over.
Like, yeah, whenever we received this tea, we were just like...
And it starts like as soon as you open the pouch. Like when you smell just the loose leaf tea.
Oh, it's so nice.
You can smell a lot of the different notes, but especially like I got vanilla right off the bat.
Yeah, you can taste or smell the vanilla right away.
So, but it's not quite as strong flavor-wise, the vanilla in it, as I would have expected from the scent.
I think it's the essence. The fact that the essence. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's more of a scent note than it is a taste note. You can still taste it a little bit, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah, it's like whenever you smell it, you can smell the vanilla still, and then drink it, you don't really get as much.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird. Like, smelling and drinking and getting slightly different notes. There's like so much in this cup. But anyways,
let's go ahead to the realism.
Stop harping on tea. Yeah, so for the realism, this movie was kind of tough for me as well. Because overall, there were a lot of things that I found in the realm of possibility. Like the dating scene was definitely very accurate. The fact that there's a black market asking for the stuff that they were asking for, I thought was pretty realistic. It's kind of like you're opening in the rear view window of the dark web. But there were a few things that did stick out as, okay, this is definitely a movie. Like, it's very fake.
Yeah, there were several times, as much as we enjoyed this movie, there were several times where we had to like pause and rant a little bit.
Yeah. So I would personally rate this a 5. Reason being, so like I said, the dating scene, pretty accurate, unfortunately. What kind of knocked it down is, especially since Noah, the main character, has been in the dating game for a decent amount of time, she just seemed a little bit too naive. I don't know if it's because, quote unquote, Steve came off as really trustworthy. I mean, he definitely was a smooth talker, so I don't know if she felt like he is more trustworthy, but she just seemed very naive. Like, she is disclosing information that you would probably hold off disclosing until like much later, until you've established more trust. Like her disclosing about her parents and then wanting to go on the vacation so soon.
So the thing about the parents, I could actually see, unfortunately, because that is kind of small
basic
talk,
information.
like basic first date kind of stuff. I don't really see her going into like details of like death of parent or estrangement of parent, but I could see some of that information coming out pretty easily, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it's like for me,
which is not always a good thing.
Yeah, it's like for me, if I happen to be, if I happen to have lost my parents, I would maybe be like, yeah, but I have a ton of friends to make up for it. You know, like, well, and we're really close.
Even if you don't, if it's that kind of situation, maybe just, I don't really feel comfortable going into that. Family's a bit of a touchy topic for me. Yeah. But if we could do any other kind of first date question. Yeah,
like, if you don't want to, exaggerate the truth or flat out lie. Just be like, can we please revisit this on another date once we've established more trust?
I don't
I'll
feel
give you those
comfortable discussing that at this time, but because it's kind of a touchy subject or
like
something
totally
like that.
fair.
Yeah, that would make a bit more sense. But no, let's just go ahead and let the psycho know that basically no one would be missing you.
Yep.
Right off the bat.
Which comes up later as biting her in the butt.
Yep.
But talking about getting bitten in the butt, so
this isn't Houseu.
That. Oh man, I watched that movie for a second time, and it's even more enjoyable the second time. But anyways, I actually kind of understood more of what was happening.
Oh Lord!
But anyways,
were you on something when you watched it that second time?
No, I was just eating snacks. It was with V, okay? It was our hangout day.
You're not making this better.
I wasn't on any sort of influence whatsoever aside from chocolate. No! Oh my god, I'm not making it. Just anyways, it is... it's nothing like that, I swear. But, so after she had her butt surgically removed, I had to turn on my VPN to look up whether or not we can actually walk without our
gluteus maximus.
Yes. And because for those who don't know, it's not just, it's my booty. It's like that is the strongest muscle in your body. Like it plays a very important role in not only like the way that your legs are contracting and stuff like that, but also with balance.
Strongest.
What?
I don't know about strongest.
I'm pretty sure it's the biggest muscle.
I don't know about that either. I know it's important.
I'm like 90% sure. But we will not take the time to look it up.
I don't know. Whatever.
Unless, you can look it up while I'm talking. If you...
It's fine.
Okay,
I don't care that much about it.
Well, people in the comments can verify who is right. Yeah.
I don't know. We're not experts. Just let us know. Next.
But anyways, but it does play a very important role in balance. So whenever she was walking around and stuff like that, I was just curious to look up whether or not that was possible. And there were several stories, like real life stories on the internet talking about it. And essentially, your butt is so important that if you completely lost it, or even, I know one person is like even partially lost it for however way, you need assistance walking to keep your balance. It's not just about like moving around, it's keeping your balance. Like needing a cane in each hand type of like assistance. So her eventually being able to like wear a dress and walk around, I think she was even in heels, I want to say. I don't remember.
I didn't pay attention to her shoes.
Okay. I didn't either.
I didn't pay attention to the footwear.
But aside from that,
we failed as females.
We're not like your stereotypical females anyways, but anyways. The point is, it wouldn't have been possible for her to walk that easily. She would have needed some sort of assistance.
I was honestly surprised that he was pulling as much as he was. She didn't really have a butt to begin with.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was looking at her dress, seeing if they like did like a little indent to show like where her butt used to be. I'm like, oh nope,
regular butt.
She got
regular flat butt.
Booty. But yeah. And then the wounds in the human flesh, it's really weird saying that, in the movie did look pretty realistic. As Jess mentioned, it wasn't like super bloody or anything like that. Is more, I guess, your PG-13 type of like gore. My biggest complaint though is whenever he opens the freezer and there's a torso, the fact that I'm not going to mention a second point. I'm just going to go to the more PG point. The torso is actually, it's almost like a mannequin standing upright. I don't think that'd be possible. Like the spine, like how would the spine, because he would have put it in the freezer whenever it was fresh. Like I would think that the spine would sag, or like, it's like, how would the torso be able to keep upright on its own? Because your spine is bendy. It's meant to bend. I just don't picture it.
Spine is, but the rib cage is pretty rigid.
That's true. But so maybe like the more bottom half would be like slumped.
Possibly. It also depends. He might not have put it in that way initially.
Oh, maybe he needed to save space, so he then like, oh god,
Possibly.
Why am I thinking about this?
Also, though, he had to have drained the excess blood from it too. So it really depends on a few
which might
factors.
have like stabilized
Possibly.
it more. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but
be less liquidy.
Yeah, but the torso, the entire torso. All of the details for those who have watched the movie are not realistic for blood flow reasons and just the way that it is sitting, unless if he did. I mean, I could picture him laying it on his side.
Yeah, there's a few factors, so
yeah.
I mean,
it's a maybe.
Yeah, it depends.
But yeah, so I'm curious what you would rate it for realism.
So you gave it a 5. I actually gave it a 4.
Okay.
So fairly close.
Yeah.
A lot closer than Green Inferno.
I don't even remember.
I think it a 6. I gave it a 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So this one I give it a 4. It was, as far as the gore, for the most part I feel like it was pretty accurate, especially with how clean he kept everything and sterile, and I understand the methods behind his MO, as far as what kinds of girls he goes after and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that would make sense. I feel like he moved a little fast in getting her, at least. I don't know about the other girls, apart from her best friend, which was more out of necessity than actual background work and him checking up on her and making sure that she would be someone that not anyone would really miss, like most of his other victims seem to be. But I don't really see someone being quite as naive. I know there's going to be one here and there that's super naive and just believes the best of everyone. They are out there. I am not one of them. And it just seemed a little odd, especially since her best friend, who she tells everything to, is so grounded and definitely not the naive type. She was questioning smart. Everything.
Yeah.
So for her not to listen to the friend at all, who she clearly values the opinion of, just didn't make that much sense.
Yeah.
And the friend was throwing up red flags everywhere.
Yeah. Well, going back super quick to what you mentioned about him moving quickly, we obviously didn't see how he lured his other victims, but I would imagine, since he is pretty good with socializing, that maybe he kind of gauges how comfortable they are with him. So maybe, like, he doesn't bring that up on the second date for, like, all of them. He just waits until they're, like, all over him, like she was, and then he brings it up, maybe.
Possibly. Like I said, I'm not sure, because they didn't show us.
Yeah.
But it just seemed a little bit unrealistic how fast that was.
Yeah.
Because the dating scene is rough, especially today with, the need to impress everyone with socials and looks and impress me with your experiences and your mind and...
Yeah. It definitely feels like the Animal Kingdom.
It really does sometimes. Like, the beginning was actually really realistic, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of situations where if a guy puts out signals and all, and the girl denies those signals and rejects them, then he immediately turns hostile. Like, that is a legitimate thing. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in the reverse.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying girls do see that pretty often.
Yeah. I mean, dating is a very touchy thing.
It
Because
really
it's like
is.
you're being vulnerable with someone
Yes.
else. And so it's easy to get hurt. And if you don't have either the self-confidence, self-esteem, or what have you, it can make you turn very defensive,
Yes.
and that can turn into aggression.
Well, and other people, like she mentioned in the movie, put on airs for a while.
Yeah.
Like, for the first part of the relationship, which is often the case. You put your best self forward in the beginning of the relationship until you feel comfortable enough
Being
to
yourself.
show what a freak
Yeah.
you actually are.
Yeah.
Because we all are. In
like
some way, shape, or form.
Well, I feel like it's kind of it's like I understand the point of trying to be as
Yeah.
true to yourself as possible, but I also feel like there's like a more refined part of yourself where it's like you're still being true, but you're not telling him like all of the
You
dirty
definitely
things you're
don't-
into
well,
or
you don't
whatever.
tell
It's
them
like,
all of the things because they'll run screaming.
but it's like you kind of like ease them in type of thing.
Yes, you do. So, but it can be very tiresome, especially if you're not connecting to anyone lately on the first date. Like, you go on first date after first date after first date, it all becomes the same.
It seemed very like fake and
It
plastic.
can,
and, yeah.
and it can be very tiring, just very exhausting. So, watching that, it was like painfully realistic.
I know. I'm like, oh, why? Like, I feel like whoever like put that scene together maybe has been in the dating scene
yes.
before and was like, I need to get this out of my system.
Pulling experiences
Yeah.
from their past or from their friends' past because
Yes.
girls talk. And
Uh,
so they were definitely realistic there. We were also kind of ranting about the grazing in the grocery store because we've both worked retail and we both hate it. It happens, and we get it. We get why some people do it, for sure. It annoys the crap out of us, personally.
what's like, you haven't bought it, it's not yours.
Yeah.
Not touchy.
Yes.
Not touchy until you buy.
Yeah.
Then you
Again,
eat.
there's a lot of things that go into it, and we're not going to go into it, but it's whatever. It just slight thing, nitpicky thing that kind of bugged us a little bit. But we know it happens, and we get it. It's whatever. What I don't understand is she herself didn't really see any red flags of there was no way to check up on him or get in contact with him apart from sending a legit letter or texting or calling him. In today's society, I get wanting to unplug for the most part and not having like all socials, but none of them at all.
I mean,
Or no way to really contact him or check into anything that he's saying.
my husband doesn't have a social. The only thing he has is Discord, and of course all of his friends.
Okay, but he has Discord.
Yeah, but he's not going to give it out to a stranger.
In the dating scene,
Yeah, I think he would just
might
give
have.
them his phone number.
maybe. But, I mean, it was kind of odd. It didn't really make that much sense.
Yeah, it's like you'd think that if you're actively looking for a partner, you would want to be on social media just so that way
If nothing
There's
else, to
more-
share pictures.
there's more lines in the water.
Yes. Yeah. So it seemed very fake. It seemed very fake and red flags popping up everywhere. Honestly. And the friend did call out on it. Like, that's sketchy. Like, that doesn't make sense. That feels weird. When they're talking in the grocery store and he's talking about my niece and all, it just seemed a little like he was trying to garner some kind of trust or sympathy, saying, oh, I'm talking about a young female that I'm familiar with. I am a nice guy, trust me. Like,
Yeah.
it just seemed a little off. And I feel like the only reason that actually worked with her is because he was somewhat attractive.
Yeah.
Because if a guy that was not attractive in any way, shape, or form said the exact same thing to her the exact same way, it would have had a completely different effect.
And we were actually talking about it after the movie ended, that he was the perfect person to play that role, because you want someone that is good looking, but you don't want them to be so good looking that they stick out of the crowd. Like, you want them to be good looking enough to be, it's like
they blend in.
Yeah, it's like blend in, but also be like attractive to other people.
Yes. And that's what makes the movie so scary, is because that kind of thing is very realistic.
Yeah.
He's the type to blend into the crowd. He's rather charismatic and charming. So he can talk to people without, raising too many suspicions. But he's attractive, but he's not like supermodel, runway ready attractive.
I feel like that'd scare more people off if he was.
It would raise more red flags.
He wouldn't be personable, I guess.
Yeah. And even if he was super charming, but also like super attractive, other people would take far more notice of him. And he wouldn't have been able to move in his plots near as easily.
Yeah, especially if he's like taking them out and like going to the bars and stuff like that. Like, the bartenders,
they're going to notice.
Are going to remember. Yeah.
Yeah. But if he's an everyday Joe kind of character, his face is going to blur with every other face that bartender sees. And the bartenders see a lot of faces every shift. So it worked out for him more. So that was fairly realistic. Again, she basically told him on the first date that basically no one would miss her if she went missing.
Yep.
Way to go.
We were cringing during that.
It hurt to hear that come out of her mouth.
And it's crazy because, like, later in the movie, she makes so many smart choices.
Yep.
It's like, where did this come from?
Yep.
It's like...
Yeah, you suddenly grew a brain. Great job. So it was just so frustrating that she seemed kind of cautious with other things before him. But where he was concerned, she just kind of chunked her brain into, a different zip code and called it good. But I just feel like she should have been more cautious with that, especially knowing the things that she knows and the other steps that she was taking as far as caution goes. I can understand having a one-night stand, just,
yeah,
on a whim. Okay, fine. But even that was a little just like a bad move. Because now he knows where you live.
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to have a one-night stand, don't bring them to the place that you live.
Probably not the best idea. Which, that day worked out for her just fine.
Yeah.
In a manner of speaking. But she didn't die immediately. But there are just so many things that could have gone wrong also in that I feel like she was cautious before him again and was cautious once she got caught and was making mostly decent choices there that it just didn't make sense in between.
Like, I feel like I forgot her friend's name, I feel bad, but...
Millie, I think?
Or Molly.
Molly. It was one of the two.
What her friend Molly did before she went to confront the house, that's what...
Dude, she was one of the best characters, for sure.
That's what Noah should have done. It's like, I mean, it's already a red flag that she agreed to that vacation,
that was
but
one of the
even if she went...
flags.
She should have been like, this is my location.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I don't care how smitten with someone you are. If it's on the third date that they're proposing, like, on the second date, they're proposing for the third date to go away together.
Yeah, that's sus.
And even more sus is the destination is a surprise.
Yeah, that one, I'm like, oh,
That's not okay.
No,
At all. I can understand when you've been with someone for a while, you know, going somewhere.
Yeah.
But even then, it's probably not going to be a surprise for a multitude of reasons. But not the least of which is so other people know where you're going, just in case something happens and when you're supposed to be back. But also, you need to know what to pack.
I have a random curious question. What do you think is the cutoff on, like, when you could go on it? For me, I'm like, oh, probably like the 6-month mark is when you can go on, like, a vacation.
It really depends, in my opinion, on the situation.
Yeah.
And the relationship itself.
Yeah, because it's like if they're only dating once a month, then probably the 6-month mark isn't.
That's
but
not
like they need
near,
to
yeah.
definitely be going on a decent amount of dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So it really depends on the relationship and the people in the relationship. It's different for everyone, and it's different for every situation.
Yeah.
But the third date to a surprise destination is not okay.
No.
Just saying.
Nope.
Just saying. And then once they get to this surprise destination, she didn't tell anyone exactly where she was or anything like that she got there. Like, he had told her on the way when she lost signal that they'll get signal at his place. Most people, once they get there, would immediately check their phones and make sure that the text went through. Or tell their friend, who they tell everything to, hey, just got here, and probably even snap a pic and send it. So it just didn't make sense that she still didn't take out her phone the entire time that we saw. You know? She also had horrible security on the phone because he clearly got into it with no issues and was sending texts acting like her to her friends.
Yeah.
That whole time.
I mean, luckily her friend saw through it.
Thankfully, she did recognize that she was receiving texts that didn't seem like they would be from her friend. Everybody has their own way of communicating, even via text. So, like, if I got something from you with certain things in it or missing from it, I would definitely know something was off. And that's usually a signal, especially for, like, girl best friends and all, to call the person and be like, what the hell was this? You don't sound right through text. What's up? So I appreciate that the friend was like, call me immediately, it's an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was nice and made sense there, but what also doesn't make sense is, again, you're in an undisclosed location. It is the third date, and you're going to allow him to make drinks without even looking.
Yeah, that was
She wasn't
very
watching.
dumb.
She was looking all around the room and everything. I know she's naive. But this was a bit much.
That's not even dating. That's just like bar
That's just basic safety.
101.
That's just basic safety 101. I don't care if you've slept with the guy on the first date and you didn't die right then. I don't care that you had a second date and it was fine then. You are in an undisclosed location. Nobody knows where you are. Nobody knows how to get a hold of you or to come rescue you.
And the fact that he brought it up rather than her.
You've already told him that you have basically one friend that would maybe notice that you're missing, and that's it. This is a no-no. This you do not do. So, some of the best things in this movie, though, are the bartender character and her best friend, Molly. They have the best sense in the movie, I swear.
Like, whenever he drives up and he's like, oh, no.
She turns into, like, a freaking detective and was like, I am going deep on this guy, just trying to figure out anything and everything I can about him. Something seems super sus. Don't like this. I'm seeing red flags everywhere. Super protective of my friend.
Yeah.
When she's starting to figure out that shit ain't right, She tells someone first off, and then she also sends her location and is like, just in case something happens, this is where I'm going. And the guy also had the sense, the bartender, to check later where her location was because she left it on. So he knew about where she was before the signal cut out, and he took a screenshot.
Yes.
Which you never see.
Yes. Like, they were... Oh,
he has proof.
It's like, that's exactly what you should do.
Yes. I was so happy.
Yeah,
so happy when he did that.
Because he did go in later and then her location wasn't shown. Yeah.
What I also love, though, is when he went to the location, when he heard the gunshots, he's like, nope. Seen that movie, know how that ends. We don't survive it. I'm out of here. Nopes out. He's like, booty ain't worth this.
Well, it's like at the same time, it's kind of sad because I'm like, oh man, it's like he didn't save them or help them.
But at the same time, he obviously doesn't have a weapon.
Yeah.
Someone, if he gets out, someone is out that knows the location of stuff going down and can either lead the police back there or let them know exactly where it was.
Yeah.
And send the cavalry. So he was the smartest one in the entire goddamn movie.
Yeah, it was, oh man. And you know, one thing I realized is really no one dies in this movie. It's always like people before. The only person that dies is Melissa, and you only hear her like once.
Yeah, you hear her a couple times. But it's through walls, like you only see a picture of her.
Yeah, like like all of the characters that you get to know, they don't kill any of them off.
They do kill the bad guy and his wife.
Yes.
So
it's a very satisfying movie.
Yes. Now, I appreciate that someone in this movie had the intelligence to shoot the guy in the head instead of aiming for a non-vital part of the body.
Finally, Justine.
Yes. What I don't appreciate is that they had to fight him multiple times.
Yeah.
And then finally shoot him in the head for it to be over with him.
Yeah, it's surprising that Molly just, like, hit him once and was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
But he, like, even stirred. It's like before he got up.
Well, first, Noah. Noah bit him.
Oh, sorry, not Justine.
Yeah,
that's
I
from...
don't know where you got Justine from. That was from Green Inferno.
Noah.
So Noah shot him in the head. And Noah, the main character, also bit him in a very private place, which she did good with that. That's what she had to work with.
I mean, it helped incapacitate him.
It did.
And it slowed him down.
It did. I feel like she should have been a bit rougher. But
it's making me hurt. He
would have been down faster. Just saying.
Yeah.
But, and she's in a life or death situation. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But, she incapacitates him mostly. And then she locks the door, which was good. That bought her time to get to the other two. But she had to go downstairs to get them and then come back upstairs with them. And none of them are really moving at their best pace, all things considered. So then they do come up with a decent plan on the fly for, the one girl to use the dumbwaiter to get up and the other two to go up the stairs and go different directions so they can kind of flank him, which is good. That's really good. That was very smart. They were fighting him off really well for the most part. Yeah. But they stopped hitting him. Like, Molly hit him, I think, twice with the meat tenderizer. And he was down, but he was still stirring and about to get up. And I get that he was down. And technically you could probably disengage, but if he's starting to get up, also know that, without a doubt, that he is going to try to end you.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's still a life or death situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not stopping hitting the guy until the body stops twitching. Personally. And then I'm checking a pulse, just in case. Because we know how that movie ends. But then he does stir, and they have to fight him off more, and then they push him, and he hits his head on something hard, and you do see blood coming from his head, but no one checks! No one checks if he's dead or not. They're just like, okay, we're good, let's get out. Good job, everyone. And then he comes out with a gun! Like, you could have avoided that whole scenario if you just checked to make sure that he was definitely down for the count.
Yeah, but I feel like they did a good, like, quote-unquote final boss fight where it, like, kept escalating.
Yes, they did. It was very intense, for sure, and they make you really pay attention to it.
Yeah, and then, like, with, like, Penny jumping him and, like, doing that high-risk situation, I feel like whenever they do finally finish him off, it is very satisfying.
It wasn't Penny that jumped on him in the woods. It was Molly.
I could have sworn it
Penny
was...
had one leg. She ain't jumping on him.
I know, but
she was not running to him. She crawled over to him once he was down and was hitting him with a rock.
I guess it would make sense
Molly.
It was Molly
100%
since
Molly.
he was coming after Noah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, he was about to come up on Noah hiding behind a tree. And Molly was like, that's my girl. And took him down.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
So, for those of us that paid attention.
I do pay attention. I just don't remember all of the little details.
Well, get good. So, but they finally got him down for the fourth time, technically. And Noah finally ends it by picking up the gun that he had dropped and shooting him in the head. Finally, someone shoots him in the head. I appreciate that so much. Because in most movies, like 98% of all other movies, they aim for, like, the body, which admittedly is a bigger target, for sure. But when you're point blank, and you know that they're gonna keep coming after you if they're not dead, just shoot them in the head. It's so much faster and easier. Please, save yourself the trouble. Just learn from the Scream movies and shoot them in the head. So, but I also don't know. One of the other biggest things that don't make sense to me is what he thought he was gonna do when he's, like, courting Noah, basically. He already had a wife who we're made to believe was originally one of these kinds of girls too. So was he gonna get rid of the wife? And if so, was he making any preparations for that? Or was he just assuming that she would be okay with him going between the two? Or what? Like, that whole arc there didn't make that much sense.
Yeah, it's like I didn't feel like... while him having a family is great cover,
yeah,
I feel like him having a family definitely complicated why he was courting Noah. Mm-hmm. It didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I was confused on that front.
I mean, I guess the only thing I can think of is... I mean, he seemed pretty young, so I don't think he has a history of multiple wives. But...
I mean, I guess he would make enough to keep up with multiple families, but...
Well, I mean, like, you know, once he finds, like, a new favorite, essentially, like, marrying them and then having kids and then moving on to the next. But it's like, it didn't really allude to that, but...
Well, he can't... I mean, I'm just saying he can't divorce the first one because she could go ballistic and out him and his secret.
Well, I mean, I was meaning that he would kill his
he would
current
have to.
wife.
But then, depending on how she died or disappeared, he would fall under suspicion. Everything he did would be scrutinized.
That's true.
So, especially if he owns that other property, they might try to get a warrant to search those premises too. And just the the items that he has there, not even necessarily the body parts or the women that he has there, just the layout of the place would be seriously sus.
Yeah, so I don't know what his game was, because even if he killed Anne and then replaced her with Noah, you're right, that would add a lot of suspicion and
what's
get
the
him
thinking
searched.
there? It just didn't make that much sense.
I don't feel like...
But maybe he doesn't think things fully through either, because he also licked the envelope and was touching all the things that he put in the box with no gloves. Everything. He touched all the things.
Ooh.
Well, technically he did, because I mean, he was the one cutting everything up.
I
know. But it just didn't make sense. Like, he was so meticulous about so many things, but then he falls down on the job on, fingerprints and DNA on the boxes that he sends, which seem to be hand-delivered to the various people that are in this group. So it's not like they're shipping it out or anything using USPS or FedEx or UPS or anything like that. They're delivering it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if any of those other people were indicted on anything, if they came across that box and were able to get into the contents of it, that could lead back to him.
Yeah.
So it just... Why take the risk?
Well, and then we're having this weird conversation after the movie on, like, I don't know if people on the dark web or the black market would take the time to wear gloves. I mean, maybe it depends on what it is that they're doing.
And I'm over here, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you never know if, the person on the dark web that you're talking to is a plant.
Yeah.
Like...
It's like, I definitely see your point, but I don't know if in real life that it translates to that.
It might not, but to me, it would make more sense, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
For him to not take the risk and to go that extra step. Because it's not even like it's inconvenient to do so. You just put on gloves before handling the stuff, which is not that big a deal.
And he's already using gloves by the surgery.
Exactly.
And he's already very meticulous.
Yes.
It would just make sense for his character to do that.
Yes. So why would you lick the envelope when they're self-sealing envelopes?
Yeah.
Or you could get one of those
sponge
devices that, you just fill with water. I forget what they're called too. But it's just this little thing that you fill with water. It has a sponge on the end. You use it instead of your tongue on the envelope to seal it.
I need to get me one of those. Sounds fancy.
So, my grandmother used to have that. So, like... There are things out there to prevent this kind of issue.
Oh, you know what the worst is? The paper cuts from licking envelopes. I wonder if you got any of those. That would be an even worse situation, because then they would have potential, like, blood DNA.
I mean, DNA is DNA.
That's fair.
But, So it just... It doesn't
ironic.
make that much sense at all. I just don't understand. But that's me. I have questions, but I always do. Otherwise, though, again, it is an enjoyable movie. With all the things that I point out for realism, please don't take that as a reflection on the entertainment itself of the movie. That's what the entertainment scale is for.
Yes. Those are very two separate things.
They are.
Honestly, it's interesting to see how, like... some movies, if they coincide with each other, or, like, other movies is like, well... they're like opposites, so it's interesting to see how it plays out. But it does seem to be the type of movie that seems to be the most important. But anything else you would like to add?
Nope, I've done my nitpickiness over here. It is, again, an enjoyable movie. Mm-hmm. It has the potential, after more viewings, to have a higher rating from me, entertainment-wise. I just, on this one solitary first viewing, that's what I got from it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today, and please comment on what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie and keep up to date with our content, you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so many other socials, and most places you listen to podcasts.
If you'd like to support our podcast, again, we have a donate button, and we have a Teespring available as well for merch. And all of the links that we've mentioned for Plum Deluxe and everything else will be mentioned, linked down below. Please make sure to go view that as well. And until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye!